Hello. It is so wonderful to have you here. Tonight we will read the final chapter in the Lighthouse Diaries series. If you haven't heard the previous episodes, go to our channel to take it from the start. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the newest episodes once they are released. And now, let's get into the story. Chapter 6, The Last Light. I didn't sleep much last night. The storm left a strange quiet behind, the kind that doesn't feel like peace so much as a held breath. Greyhaven is always quiet, but the silence feels deliberate, like the lighthouse is waiting to see what I do next. I kept checking the beam through the window, half expecting it to flicker again. It didn't. It turned smoothly, steady as a heartbeat. If I didn't know better, I'd think the storm had never happened. But the bottles are gone, every one of them. The sill is bare. And that, more than any voice or whisper, tells me something has changed for good. The sun rose pale and washed out, barely touching the horizon. The air tasted clean, strangely sweet. I walked outside to check the fuel tank, the gauge, the wires, anything to confirm the tower was whole. Everything was intact, perfect even, too perfect. The rocks below gleamed like polished stone, stripped of seaweed and debris. Even the driftwood was gone. The storm had taken what it wanted and left the rest unnaturally untouched. The tide was low, lower than I'd ever seen it. A narrow path of stone stretched out from the base of the cliff toward the southern cove. In all my time here, I'd never seen land there. A pull settled in my chest. Not a voice, not a command, just an invitation. But I wasn't ready to follow it. Instead, I went back inside, made tea, and opened the journal. The last page still held Elias's neat handwriting, faint but clear. Thank you for keeping the light. I traced the letters with my thumb, half expecting them to smudge. They didn't. For a long moment, I just sat there, hands wrapped around the mug, feeling the warmth seep into my fingers. The lighthouse felt warmer today, as if the walls themselves had exhaled something they'd been holding on to for decades. Mara came mid-morning, boots splashing through shallow pools where the tide still lingered. She took one look at me and frowned. You look like you've seen a ghost. I thought about answering honestly. Then I said, Storm kept me up. She stepped inside, brushed rain off her coat. Heard it was bad out here. Radio was down half the night. It was something. She walked around the base of the lantern room, almost pacing. Funny thing, she said, tapping the wall. Feels different today. Can't explain it. Like the place lost a weight. The same thing I'd felt. Did you see anything strange on your way in? I asked. She shrugged. Low tide, real low. Saw the old path by the cove. Haven't seen that since I was a girl. She paused. Then, Elias used to walk it. My breath caught. Why? No idea. Said the sea opened doors for him sometimes. She surveyed me quietly. You ever hear things here? Voices, whispers? Yes, I said. A simple truth, spoken softly, like releasing a knot. Mara nodded slowly, without surprise. Some lighthouses remember who tended them. Some remember who they lost. Before she left, she handed me a folded scrap of waterproof paper. Storm cleanup notice from the mainland, she said. But when she stepped outside and her boat engine faded over the water, I unfolded it. There were no official notes, only a single hand-drawn symbol, a spiral. Elias's spiral. And beneath it, make peace with the tide. My throat tightened. Mara hadn't written that. She never saw it. The lighthouse, or the sea, was speaking again. By afternoon, the tide had risen a little, but the stone path remained visible. I grabbed my coat. I wasn't sure where I was going until I'd already started walking. The air felt warmer, closer to the water. Not summer warm, but welcoming, like a hand hovering near your shoulder. The stones were slick under my boots, covered in fine patterns like the lines on the driftwood map. Spirals, arcs, lines intersecting. Halfway to the cove, I saw the remnants of an old wooden post. Weathered, broken, its top smooth from years of waves. It must have been part of something long ago. When I reached the cove, the sound changed. The usual crash of waves softened to a low, rhythmic hum. Not a voice this time, not repetition. A pulse, like a heart beneath the ocean floor. And there, at the mouth of a narrow sea cave, something caught the light. A bottle, green glass, wax seal, just like the first. My breath hitched. Hands shaking, I lifted it from the rock and pulled the cork free. Inside was a single page, thick parchment, water worn around the edges. The handwriting was unmistakable. Elias's. If you found this, the sea let you through. If you read this, then I'm gone, but not lost. Noah. The sea remembers everything we give it. Footsteps, longing, light. And it remembers you now. Don't fear that. It's not a curse. It's a place to leave your burdens the way I left mine. Tell her I kept the light. Tell her I chose to stay until the storm was done. And tell her, thank you. There was no signature, just 3 initials carved faintly at the bottom. E-H-M. Elias Havergreen. M. The name I never learned. A pair bound by tide and time. The entrance of the cave was just wide enough for one person. Inside, the air simmered with cold and warmth at once, like 2 seasons overlapping. The water at the base glowed faintly, pale green, the same color as the light that had climbed the hatch during the storm. As I stepped inside, the hum deepened. Not ominous, not hungry, just steady, ancient. The walls were carved with spirals, hundreds of them, layered like fingerprints. And in the center of the cave was a shallow pool, perfectly still, reflecting the beam of the lighthouse, even though no direct light reached it. I crouched beside it, feeling the warmth rise from the water. A voice, not spoken but felt, washed through me. Not words, not a command, just a gentle impression. You've done enough. My eyes stung. I didn't realize tears had formed until one dropped into the pool, sending ripples across the perfect surface. The hum shifted, softened, almost like a sign of relief. The sea wasn't asking for more. It was letting go. Letting Elias go. Letting me go. I whispered into the dimness. I kept the light. The cave brightened slightly, just for a moment, like an acknowledgement. Then everything grew still. By the time I returned, the tide had risen, covering the path again. Greyhaven stood calm against the horizon, as if watching me approach. Inside, the air felt lighter than it had since the day I'd arrived, as though whatever burden the lighthouse had been carrying had finally been released back into the water. I made tea without rushing, wrote in the journal slowly, letting the pen glide. The sea keeps memories. Some we inherit, some we return. When I finished writing, I noticed something on the windowsill. Not a bottle, not a letter, just a single shell, grey, spiral-shaped, smooth as glass. Light passed through it, refracting into soft green. A final memory. A final thank you. I placed it inside the journal beside Elias's letter. The sun dipped low, turning the sky gold, then deep blue. I climbed the stairs to the lantern room, each step echoing in warm stillness. When I reached the top, the lens turned with a soft hum. No flicker, no hesitation. I adjusted the lamp to full brightness for the first time since arriving. The beam swung across the sea, steady and strong. Below, waves curled gently towards the rocks, their motion rhythmic and peaceful. The lighthouse felt alive, not whispering, not warning, just alive in the way anything old and well-loved feels alive. I stood there, hands resting on the railing, letting the warmth of the glass seep into my skin. Somewhere beneath the waves I felt it, the sea settling, the memory quieting, the story ending. Not with fear, not with loss, but with completion. I whispered without knowing who I was speaking to. Rest now. The wind sighed through the tower, carrying the words away. The storm has passed. The voice has quieted. Found the last letter in the cove. Elias's hand. The sea cave holds something old, but nothing malicious. It held memory until it was heard. Now it lets go. This lighthouse is only a lighthouse again. Tomorrow I'll send word to the mainland that all is well. I'll ask Mara to bring more oil. Maybe fresh bread. The sea is calm tonight. The light is bright. And I feel, for the first time, at home. Join me next week, here at the Midnight Vale, as we begin a brand new story together. Good night, dreamer, and welcome to the Vale.